we are present. We pray, I speak, he gives direction. He teach, I learn, we give the lesson, but first we will listen, 'cause I am present.
Hey guys, it's Jana and I am present, and today I'm just hoping to encourage you. Our world has definitely gone through some changes, and I know that these changes have impacted us all greatly. Maybe it's COVID-19, and maybe you've just had to stay home in quarantine, and that's impacted you. Or maybe you're a parent and you became a teacher overnight, having to homeschool your children. Or maybe you're a teacher and you had to become an online teacher overnight. Or maybe you know someone personally who's been affected by this virus. Or maybe you've lost a job. I know that we've all been impacted in one way or another. Or maybe you're becoming aware of the social injustices for people of color that's becoming so prevalent in our world today, that's impacted you greatly or impacted some friends of yours that you know. Today, I just hope to encourage you. I believe God gave me a revelation last week as I was reading the story of Moses. Before I share that revelation, I just want to quickly summarize the story of Moses. So Moses' story starts off for us in Exodus chapter 1, and there we're seeing that the people of Israel are held in captivity. So they are slaves, and they're slaves to the Egyptian people, and the Egyptian people are ruled by a person who is called the Pharaoh. At the end of chapter 1, Pharaoh gives a decree that all newborn male children must be killed. Chapter 2 opens with a couple who is newlywed and they find themselves to be pregnant. This couple is actually Moses' parents. Once Moses is born, his mother weaves a basket together to save him and sends him down the Nile River. As he's floating down the Nile River, Pharaoh's daughter is bathing and sees the basket and actually tells her maidservant to go and get the basket. Miriam, Moses' sister, had been watching this whole time and goes up to the princess and says, "Would you like for me to go get an Israelite woman to feed this baby for you until he is able to be weaned?" She says yes, and so Miriam is able to go ahead and get her mother to nurse Moses, her son. Years go by, and eventually Moses is weaned and goes to live in Pharaoh's household. He grows up in royalty. One day, he's then walking and sees some injustice happen, and he decides to take matters into his own hands and actually kills one of the Israelite men. From there, we find that Moses flees, and he's in the wilderness for some time, and then he ends up being used by God to come back and to free a nation. Wow, there's so much meat in that one story, and I left out so many details, but there's so much that we can get for our time right there in just that story of Moses. But today I want to focus on someone that I feel always gets overlooked, who I feel is never talked about, and who I feel God gave me a revelation about how we as people, as Christians, should be behaving during this time. And that person is Jochebed, Moses' mother. I'm not entirely sure that I'm pronouncing her name correctly, so if I'm not, please forgive me. Anyway, Jochebed, remember, in chapter 1, she knows that Pharaoh has issued this decree that all newborn males must die. And in chapter 2, it opens up and we find Jochebed pregnant. Now, y'all, this is not today. There are no sonograms. She doesn't know if she's having a boy or a girl. I can only imagine. I'm sure that she's hoping, God, please let me have a girl. But lo and behold, she gives birth, and out of her womb comes this baby boy. I can only picture her holding her son and beginning to weep, thinking about what has to happen because of the decree set by Pharaoh. This decree that she cannot control. This decree that she has no power over. She does not have the ear of Pharaoh. You see, her circumstance leaves hopelessness. Just like I'm sure our circumstance of COVID-19 and this injustice for the people of color, it leaves hopelessness for so many. But you see, Jochebed chooses to not focus on the circumstance that she can't change, and she chooses to focus on what she can do. She remembers, I'm a slave. I am good with my hands. I can make a basket, and this basket can take my child to safety as I float him down the Nile River. Of course, she had no idea how the story would end. That was a huge risk. She didn't know if the basket would float. She didn't know that Pharaoh's daughter would be bathing at that time, and that that Moses would be able to be raised by royalty. She had no idea. But what she did know is that her circumstances and what she couldn't do was not going to determine what she can do. Y'all, I know COVID is a scary thing, and I know that we cannot control the circumstances. It's a virus that we can't even see. There's so much unknown about it that we have no idea how to attack this thing. But what we can do is we can be loving to our neighbors. What we can do is we can simply wear a mask even if we don't agree with the CDC guidelines. What we can do is we can call our neighbor and we can say, hey, I know you don't want to get out during this time. Can I pick up some groceries for you? Or maybe what we can do is we can go and we can say, you know what? I have so much Lysol, I'm not going to go ahead and hoard it, but I'm going to give some away, right? Or maybe you're struggling with the injustices that people of color have been enduring for so many years. And maybe you're feeling helpless and hopeless of what you can do. And you feel like the circumstance is never going to change. I know that is something that I've really been struggling with. What can I do? Because I feel hopeless. And I've been focusing on, it's not going to change. But guys, we need to focus on what we can do. So maybe what we can do is a very small thing, just like Moses' mother, just like Jochebed. And maybe it's risky, but maybe it's simply calling a person of color and saying, you know what? I want to hear your story. I don't understand everything that's going on. I don't agree with everything that's going on, but I don't care. I just want to hear your story. Or maybe it's just posting that you're against it on social media. Guys, there's so much that we can do. I just want to encourage us to not focus on the circumstances that are going on in our world right now. Because they're tough, and they're big, and they're scary, and we can't do anything about it. But what is so crazy is that when we focus on what we can do, we never know. It may be that one ripple that comes back that actually rescues us all. So until next time, I ask you, are you going to be a Jochebed? What can you do? Let's not focus on what we can't. Until next time. Hey guys, it's Jana on I Am Present, and I just want to encourage you today. I know in our world today we're all being faced, oh my God, for people of color for years. And maybe the fact that it's becoming so so what? Pertinent?
Prevalent?
Prevalent! Oh! Prevalent! Oh. Prevalent. 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 Oh my gosh. Burp. I have to burp. Okay, bye.
He is, I am, we are present. We pray, I speak, he gives direction. He teach, I learn, we give the lesson. But first we will listen. I am present.